Ruthie here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 4 recipes that are quick and easy to make that your whole family will love. So I think it's time. Let's whip up some dinner. For our first recipe, we're going to be making lasagna. I'm actually going to be making 2 different lasagnas at the same time. I know, a little crazy. But I don't eat meat and cheese mixed together. I'm going to make one that is a vegetarian lasagna and one that is a meat lasagna. Let's start by browning our meat. I like to use ground beef 80-20, but you can use whatever meat you would like, and then just break it up apart into small pieces so you can go ahead and brown it. While the meat is cooking, I will do my very best attempt at cutting up an onion. I hate cutting onions. Anyway, I'll cut up a whole onion. I'll use half of it for the meat lasagna and half of it for the veggie. Speaking of veggie lasagna, let's go ahead and cut up those vegetables. I'll typically look in my refrigerator and pick out whatever vegetables I have. I do like to add a zucchini to my veggie lasagna, as well as some bell peppers, and then I also had some carrots that I threw in there. If you have some mushrooms and you like mushrooms, go ahead and do that. I just don't really like mushrooms personally. In the meantime, our meat is continuing to brown, and just cook it until you see no more pink. Definitely break it up as small as you possibly can. I also like to add a little bit of water before I drain all the oil out. It just helps get as much oil out as possible. Now we're gonna go ahead and brown up our onions. Take about half of those browned onions to our ground beef and add the vegetables to the other half. The secret is this Rouse homemade marinara sauce. It makes the most delicious meat sauce you have ever tried, so make sure you stock up at Costco. Those jars are bigger, so for this recipe I use about 3/4 of a jar, but if you're using a regular jar, I would use the whole jar. And put your sauce to simmer for a bit. In the meantime, let's make our cheese filling. I like to use a 16-ounce container of ricotta cheese. To that, I add 1 egg and some basil. If I had time, I would probably chop it nicely, but I was a bit in a rush, so I just crunched it all up myself. I like to also add some dry oregano to that mixture. And we're ready to assemble. I like to use these foil containers because I think they're just the perfect size for my family. Keep in mind, I am using 2 of these containers for the lasagnas today. We'll start out with using some lasagna noodles that are oven ready, and then to that we'll add a little bit of our meat mixture, just enough to kind of have a full layer. Onto that, go ahead and add some of the ricotta mixture, just a little spoonsful, and then mix it up. And then we will add some mozzarella cheese and pieces of Parmesan. And we'll repeat this whole step all over again. Go ahead and add your pasta noodles, your meat sauce, your ricotta, your shredded mozzarella, and your Parmesan cheese. Since I'm making 1 meat and 1 veggie lasagna, I only used up half my meat sauce, so I will go ahead and freeze the other half for another quick and easy dinner. I also ran out of shredded cheese, so I took some mozzarella sticks in my refrigerator and shredded those up. You gotta do what you gotta do. While we were assembling our meat lasagna, my veggies cooked down, and then I went ahead and added the same Rouse sauce to them, and so we are ready to assemble our veggie lasagna. We'll basically do the very same steps. We'll go ahead and put down our lasagna noodles, about half of the sauce, and then the ricotta cheese, and some of that shredded string cheese, and some Parmesan. And repeat those very same steps for the second layer of the lasagna. As you can see, I actually end up using the full veggie sauce. Now we'll take both lasagnas and stick them on a baking sheet and place them in a 375-degree oven for about 25 minutes, just until the top layer is nice and golden brown. Enjoy! This recipe requires very few ingredients, and it is by far the easiest to put together. I love making this for lunch, but it definitely makes a great dinner option. This is my tofu stir fry. I like to use tofu for this one, but you can use any kind of protein that you would like. So first off, let's just start by cutting up that protein, in my case tofu. I use about half of the package of the firm tofu, and I'll go ahead and put the other cubed half into my refrigerator. Spray your pan with some cooking oil and then throw whatever frozen veggies you would like to use. There are various mixes out there. This one was pretty good, but you let me know what are some of your favorite veggies in your stir fry. Again, I don't like mushrooms, but this would be a great recipe to include mushrooms if you do. Once my veggies are cooked a little bit, then I will go ahead and add my tofu on the other half. A few minutes later, my veggies are ready for the secret ingredient, which is this soyaki sauce from Trader Joe's. It is delicious. I like to serve this with some brown rice, so I'll put about half of the stir fry mixture on one bowl and then the other half on the other, so this makes about 2 servings. For the finishing touch, I like to drizzle some low sodium soy sauce on top. Yum. For this next one, you're in for a treat, as my husband decided to share the shakshuka recipe that he has perfected. And let me just tell you, it is delicious. We'll start by adding a decent amount of oil to our pan. Don't worry, the full recipe will be linked down below. While your oil is heating up, you'll want to thinly slice a large onion and add that beautifully thinly sliced onion to your hot oil, and you'll just want to cook this down. After a few minutes, your onions will be nice and caramelized. Go ahead and add some frozen garlic cloves and mix that in. Once the garlic is incorporated into our onions, we will go ahead and add our herb mixture and give that a nice stir. Typically, we would use a 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes that my husband will cut up himself, but we didn't have that, so we did use diced tomatoes. It did make this a little bit more watery than we would have liked, so our recommendation is to stick with the whole tomatoes when possible. Lastly, we will add some salt and pepper and let that simmer for about 10 minutes. Anyone will tell you that the secret to an amazing shakshuka recipe is to have a great bread to go along with it. We love this bread that we get at Trader Joe's, but I just recommend getting a quality bread that we will slice up and serve with our shakshuka. My husband just serves it as is. I prefer my bread just slightly toasted. Now we are ready to add our eggs. We typically like to do 2 eggs per person. We've done this recipe with 4 eggs or 6 eggs, and it's just perfect. After we've added all our eggs, we'll go ahead and just salt and pepper our shakshuka. If you've ever made shakshuka, you know how critical it is to make sure your egg yolk is still runny while making sure your egg white is fully cooked. The secret is to go ahead and stick this in the oven after you have cooked it down. So we'll go ahead and put it in a 375-degree oven for about 7 to 10 minutes, just until our eggs are set. And our eggs are perfect. We'll go ahead and serve this with that nice piece of bread. This recipe is excellent for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So I really hope you give it a try. If you do, make sure you tag me on Instagram. I would love to see you all make these recipes. For our last recipe, let's make some good old-fashioned potatoes. These are my smashed potatoes, and they are perfect. They're crispy on the outside and just the right creaminess on the inside. You'll want to use about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of these Yukon Gold potatoes and put those in your Instant Pot with some kosher salt and water. Set aside one of those frozen garlic cubes with some olive oil. These smashed potatoes are a perfect addition to any meal. Tonight, we are serving them with our favorite baked salmon. For the salmon, you'll want 1 clove of garlic, 1 teaspoon of low sodium soy sauce, and 1 tablespoon of mayo, and set it aside. In the meantime, go ahead and drizzle some lemon juice all over your salmon using a brush to really make sure you've spread it everywhere, and then salt and pepper your salmon. Remember our mayo mixture? Go ahead and mix it up real well and then spread it all over your salmon. We'll top off our salmon with some Italian-style breadcrumbs, and then it's all ready for the oven. Anytime we cook protein in the oven, we absolutely love using this iGrill meat thermometer, so we'll go ahead and put that in. It attaches right to your oven and tracks your temperature really accurately. Now our potatoes are done cooking in the Instant Pot, so we can go ahead and release that pressure. You'll want to place your potatoes on a baking sheet just a few inches apart, and then we will smash them. I love to use a glass, but whatever device you want to use, go ahead and just press press down until you smash your potato. Give that garlic and olive oil a nice good mix, and then just coat each and every potato with that mixture. Finally, you'll want to go ahead and salt your potatoes. We'll place these potatoes in that same 425-degree oven for about 25 minutes. Halfway through, I do like to flip them, and that is how you get this nice crispy on the outside, but really gooey on the inside. And look at that, our salmon is nice and ready as well. So we'll take a piece of salmon and some potatoes, and doesn't that look delicious? And with that, those are my family-friendly meals that I hope give you some inspiration when you're thinking, what's for dinner? As always, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss any more videos just like this one. And I will see you in my next one. Bye!